Okay, so Penelope Lane has the first question. Thank you for this opportunity, Tad. I'm coming through the medical challenges I've experienced recently while immersing myself in the meantime. Interesting timing. It's open space for lots of reflection. Um, what stands out is the acknowledgement of my tendency to be in doing mode most of the time, not in being mode. I can relate. I've known it for several decades, but what's different is the acceptance of it. I wonder what insights you have on this, maybe videos and or ebooks. Oh, well, I'm in the same boat. I'm getting better, but yeah, I struggle with this myself. There are a few insights that I'll stick with some of the practical stuff. Number one, don't overload your days. Yeah, don't try to do too much in one day. Make sure your literal to-do list is manageable. Make sure it doesn't have more than like 20 things on it or 25 keep it something like I could accomplish this tomorrow realistically, because otherwise you get that anxious guilt and it's nice to just click it all off. uh, Number two, just decide when you're going to finish the day. Make sure you have time for that. um, Number three, we'll get into this in the business model semester, but we have those daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, uh, annual checklists that call them the Dumqua in our team. But it's the idea that most of our business is maintenance. Most of our business is just stuff we have to do. And I think one of the reasons we get so overwhelmed is we don't account for all the maintenance stuff. We don't account for the need to do all this back end work. So if you don't account for that and you don't account for the need for self-care, you start to see the problem is your schedule looks really open and then it's easier to overcommit. But if you'll actually schedule in whatever your self-care is and schedule in the maintenance, you're left with much less time, which means less saying no to things. And the last thought I'll give is just we got to say no. That we don't say no because we're too busy. We say no because we don't want to be that busy. And if you have a really hard time saying no, a really good policy is just to, if somebody asks you to do something, say, that sounds great. I'd love to do that. Let me sleep on it. I'll get back to you tomorrow. Get away from the excitement of the moment. Come back to it later. And I mean, it sounds like you've been on a bit of this. It's not a retreat exactly, but you've had a chance to pull back. And I think sometimes we just all need to do that to really have a pattern interrupt, step back and say, okay, how do I want to create my business and my life? We're in the process of this in Marketing for Hippies. We've all been way too busy for too many years, maxed out, feeling like we're failing a lot because we've made it too complicated and we're trying to simplify everything right now in the business model so that it's actually achievable. And so simplicity is the key. Simplify, simplify, simplify. There's so much more to it. There's a lot of levels, but that's what comes to me right away. It's a beautiful question. Um, you can't exist in that beingness space you're talking about, just resting and just, enjoying life if you don't have the space to do it. So there's a conversation about how do you be and be more present. But I suppose my advice leans more towards the how do you make sure you have room so that can even happen? Because if you don't have the space in your life, there's no meditation is going to overcome that. Okay.